what is the effectiveness of the agreement that you have in place? He's a failed leader, according to you. He's not doing the things that you wanted for the most vulnerable Canadians. Like, what's the point?
It shows that he's out of touch. It's evidence that the
Liberals... Doesn't it show that you are too?
Yes!
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. Vashi Kapelos brought Jagmeet Singh on her show today to talk about the budget. He tried using his usual talking points, but Vashi clapped back at him repeatedly as she was not putting up with his meaningless tropes.
Let's take a look.
Leader Jagmeet Singh there ending speculation and officially announcing that his party will support the federal budget, the first vote on which is expected later today. It's an announcement the leader made on the same day the Canada Dental Care Plan officially launched, as you heard in my interview with Minister Holland a few moments ago, a key pillar of the NDP's supply and confidence agreement with the Liberals. Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, is here live in studio now to talk more about that. Hi, Mr. Singh. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I appreciate you making the time. Why did you wait 2 weeks to say you support the budget when nothing tangibly changed in the interim?
Okay.
Right out of the gate.
So, you've been screwing around for 2 weeks. You didn't get anything. What was the point? Wow. I love this lady.
Well, first off, we wanted to show that we were serious about looking at the budget to make sure what we had fought for was actually there. We want to confirm the things that we secured in the budget, like the school food program, the pharmacare, the dental care, and diabetes medication and device coverage, as well as the Renters Protection Fund. So when we were briefed about it, when we read it, we wanted to make sure that what we had fought for was actually showing up in the budget, and we were confident that that's there. Then we were concerned about certain things, and I raised those concerns, the disability benefit not being enough. And really, the clawbacks were particularly concerning to us. It could put a person living with disabilities in a worse off position, potentially, and that's completely wrong. And I raised that with the Prime Minister directly, and I said, this is wrong, and this can't happen. And there was an openness to addressing those concerns. In addition, I raised concerns about the Jordan's Principle not being met, and that's another area where I'm really concerned about. The federal government made a commitment that if an Indigenous child needs care, that the care should be delivered first, jurisdiction worked out afterwards. Well, the federal government's missing that requirement almost 70% of the time, which is a very serious concern. So I raised that with the Prime Minister, and I heard some openness to addressing that. After hearing those concerns being addressed, or an openness to addressing them, I've said now we are prepared to support.
An openness. So, yeah.
You think it, like Trudeau was like, I'll think about it. No.
Yeah, right.
What does that even mean, an openness to addressing it? This guy's such a joke.
Well, what have we said, right? The further into this agreement they get, the less leverage that the NDP have over Jagmeet, because there's not much left to lose. The problem is the Liberals played this brilliantly in that they put in all of these different things within the budget, like pharmacare, like the dental care. And, there's a reason why they didn't roll out dental care last year. The NDP thought they were going to, but there's a reason they didn't.
It wasn't in the budget.
Right. And so they they delayed that so it would ensure that they have to choose whether they want their dental care deliverable or not. So they have their silly little school lunch program, which is going to be a disaster. They have dental care, which is a disaster. Hardly any dentists have actually signed up for it, despite the fact that you have 1.7 million seniors allegedly signing up for it. And you have pharmacare, which isn't pharmacare. But, Jagmeet needs to be able to go back to his dozens of supporters and say, look, everybody, look what I got. And so this is the problem. Jagmeet had way more to lose in voting down this budget than Trudeau does.
I'll admit, Cypher, you were right this time. I was hopeful and optimistic that maybe this will be the time. Maybe this will be the time when the NDP do the right thing for Canadians. But, the vote hasn't happened yet, but it sounds like you were right.
Well, I was hopeful that they would do the right thing. The problem is Jagmeet has no political strategy whatsoever. Like, he's only looking at like the next 30 days, at the next 60 days. He doesn't look at the next 365 days or the next 1200 days, which is the next 4 years. That's his problem. So, you know, I still encourage all of our viewers to keep writing your letters to the NDP, because maybe you can convince them. We'll see. We'll see. But it's mind-boggling, this guy. And yeah, you commented on Trudeau's openness. Like, what is that? Like a promise note? What, do he give you like a promise ring, bruh?
It sounds like they're in some sort of weird relationship.
Well, they definitely are in some sort of weird relationship. But this is how I envisioned this conversation went. You're like, Justin, okay, so thanks for putting that stuff in there, but we're not too happy with the disability stuff. Can you think about that? No. Will you be open to that? Open. Sure. I'm open to have a conversation about it, but the answer is going to be no. Okay. All right. Well, that's fine, because I don't think I can vote against this, because, you know, Peter's going to kill me if I do.
I don't know. Speaking of Peter Julian, I don't know what the NDP's policy is on leadership review, but I really, really hope they have one ASAP.
So your support is essentially contingent on an openness from the government. Like, there are lots of things the government has appeared open to which it has not followed through on. Particularly, let's take the example of the disability benefit. It is horrifyingly low, according to advocates, right? $200 a month, when they set expectations that it would bring people out of poverty. How can you support a budget that does that just because the Prime Minister sounds open to addressing a concern?
She's like, dude.
She's on fire. She's asking the right questions.
Yeah. But just the way she's asking them, I love it. She's like, dude, what is wrong with you? Like, that's the undertone. What is wrong with you? Are you kidding? You're accepting this budget, you know, you raise these concerns on a hope and a prayer that Trudeau's going to maybe have a conversation about it. Are you kidding? Trudeau doesn't give a crap about this disability benefit. If he did, it would be higher. You know what he cares about? Going and getting these capital gains taxes. That's what he cares about.
100%.
Well, let's be clear. We agree that with the advocates, if this was an NDP government, we wouldn't allow for this to happen. We would never done this. This is what the Liberals have done. And we are going to continue to attack them, put pressure on them to improve this. They have not shown a willingness to improve the amount, and we think they're wrong. And so we'll continue to mount pressure on them. We'll continue to raise our concerns. We'll continue to fight back. Often with this government, what we've seen is right now, dental care is a great example. It's being rolled out right now. There were many times on this journey where the Liberals said no. They voted against it twice in the past. They said it couldn't happen. They couldn't deliver it. Now seniors are receiving this care. This is testament to New Democrats persevering, fighting for people, and delivering. Similarly, with the disability benefit, we fought for that. No, the Liberals have failed. They haven't delivered what was expected. Like you put it, the advocates have said this is not what we wanted. And on top of that, the advocates said their criteria in terms of eligibility said, please, at a minimum, don't make it based on the disability tax credit. And that's exactly what the Liberals did. So we're concerned about that. We think that's a big problem.
Okay, so let's just go through a couple of these things. Oh yeah, we fought for this stuff, and we got that for people. Okay, so your constituents wanted a full, comprehensive national pharmacare plan. You got condoms, birth control pills, and diabetes medication.
Oh, I don't even think it includes condoms. I think it's just oral contraceptives and things like the NuvaRing and the IUD.
Oh, okay, so even less.
Yeah.
So you got that. You promised a national comprehensive dental care program for anybody, and you got a one-time visit for kids, and you got supplementary coverage for seniors. Wow, congratulations. And school lunch programs. So you got a bill that says you're going to investigate school lunch programs. Amazing. Amazing. And I love he says, well, yeah, this disability benefit stuff, if this was an NDP government, this wouldn't be allowed to go through. But, we're allowing it to go through.
He is reliant on the Liberals to quote unquote do what he wants, and he's supporting them even though they're not doing it quote unquote properly, because he knows that when the Conservatives form their supermajority, which they will, that none of that is going to be in the budget.
Oh yeah, like, and the fact that he says, well, we're going to force them, then why aren't you forcing them right now? Like, hello?
Because even the Liberals know that Jagmeet Singh and the NDP are a joke.
Yeah, they're full of it. They have no confidence that the NDP is actually going to pull their support. None.
And we've addressed that. I've raised that directly with the Prime Minister, and I expect to see solutions.
But you have something available to you that few others do. You have the power to actually sway the vote. The Conservatives and the Bloc were going to vote against. If you added your party's votes to that, the budget would be defeated, the government would go down, and that would be in parallel to how you describe this government. You have said Justin Trudeau is a failed leader who is bad for Canada, and yet you're not willing to actually vote in that manner. You are keeping them in power despite your concerns, despite saying something like that.
Boom.
And that's it precisely.
And this is what every Canadian has been screaming at Jagmeet for the last 2 years. This is it. This is the hypocrisy right there. Oh, well, this guy's a terrible leader and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so therefore you support a terrible leader. Well, you know, we're using our power to hold them to account. No, you said he's a terrible leader and he's bad for Canada, yet you're keeping him there. Oh, crap.
Well, and it's like you've said before, Cypher, when you have an employee who's doing a bad job, for example, let's say the Liberals are the bad employee, they can only get away with it for so long, and then it becomes the manager's problem. And the quote-unquote manager in this case is the NDP, because they're the ones keeping them in power.
Yeah, they have
they're
the
ones
stick.
keeping them in that position.
They have the big stick. The problem is the big stick is still in its packaging. They have no intention of taking it out. And everybody sees it. Like, this is why Jagmeet is literally the joke of Parliament. All parties see it. So, like, you can talk all this tough crap, Jagmeet, but again, this is why we know that the conversation with Trudeau went, oh, hey, you know, we need to talk about the disability. No, sorry, no budget. Oh, okay. Well, I might vote against this. Yeah, go ahead.
And like you said, this is why he's the joke of Parliament, but also this is why we were hearing rumors that inside the NDP caucus, it's just ripping itself to shreds, because I don't think any of them support him anymore. Look, you had 3 MPs announce their retirement all on the same day. Daniel Blakey's already gone. You've had 2 others announce their retirement previously. I don't think the MPs in that caucus are happy with what's going on with that party right now.
Well, this is why those MPs, if you're watching, do something.
That's right. Stand up and vote for what's right for your constituents.
You want your seat? Go frickin' earn it.
Well, the facts are Canadians chose him as Prime Minister. What we're doing is using our power to get the most we can for people. And if we voted against the budget, it would be voting against free birth control for women, free diabetes medication and devices, the child care, the dental care, the Renters Protection Fund, the protection for kids, or the support for kids in school to get a nutritious meal. Those are things that we're going to support. We fought for those. We want those to move forward. Pierre Poilievre is against those things. He said right off the top he would be removing the dental care program for seniors, despite having dental care paid for with a publicly funded program for most of his adult life. He would take away the diabetes medication and the devices coverage, which we know is not only going to improve the life of people, save them money, but improve our healthcare system. So that's the difference between us and the Conservatives. We want this to move ahead, but we've raised some concerns, and we're going to fight to make sure that those are addressed.
But how do you reconcile telling Canadians on one hand Justin Trudeau is a failed leader? That's your words. A failed leader who is bad for Canada. And on the other hand, essentially just telling them right now, Pierre Poilievre, I think, would be worse, so I'm going to just support the budget and not make sure that they get toppled.
Well, that's not the frame at all. What I'm putting forward is that on their own, the Liberals would have done none of this. They wouldn't have done these things. They are absolutely failed in terms of what they've achieved in the past number of years. We have forced them to do in 2 years significant things for people. The pharmacare, the childcare legislation, the dental care, these are things we forced them to do. If we were not there, they wouldn't have done them. And we've noticed they don't have the urgency to respond to people's needs. When we talk about grocery prices, they allowed grocery prices to exceed general inflation for 2 years before then they started making announcements, and still have not yet taken concrete action. until we force them to bring in things like improvements to the Competition Bureau, more strings attached or more teeth attached to legislation to give more power.
Do you think it's you that forced them or public outcry that forced them?
Oh.
The second thing.
Of course it is.
Like, give me a break, Jagmeet. Oh, well, yeah, it was all us. Uh-huh. Sure. Like, you have been played like a fiddle by Trudeau, buddy.
And I don't know if he realizes it and he's just telling the public that, no, you know, I'm the good guy. I'm trying to get stuff done. Or if he really is that oblivious.
I don't know. I don't know. All I know is he's probably the worst leader of a party I've ever seen.
We absolutely forced them. There's no question about it. Their approach was, on their own, was to call the CEOs and ask them nicely to lower their prices. And then Champagne then said, come out and check out. Minister Champagne said, look at flyers, grocery flyers. Prices are coming down. And then said, you know what, I actually don't know if they're coming down. That was the Liberals' approach until we forced them to bring in concrete legislation
but what's changed?
To give more protection.
Even as a result, even if we take that at face value, prices are still terrible at the grocery store.
Yeah. Well,
this is just a dumpster fire.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. Oh, well, we did all these things, but nothing's changed. Prices are still terrible. Well, yeah, they are. So you've done nothing.
Oh, my goodness.
You've done nothing. He's literally like talking to his teacher, and the teacher's like, okay, where's your homework? And he's like, well, I did all this stuff. And everyone's like, yeah, but your homework's not done.
Yo, my dog ate it.
Well, Timmy over there, Timmy, he's gonna do terrible homework, but you should go and look at Timmy's homework because it's terrible. But I did all these other things. You didn't do your homework. Nothing's done. Oh,
the changes have come in just now, so they impact.
But you're keeping a government in power that is presiding over that. Like, you alone are responsible for keeping them in power and calling him a failed leader.
Like, she is just mind blown. She's like, what kind of cognitive dissonance am I dealing with right now? She's probably like, you know what? I see all these comments on Jagmeet on Twitter and online. I get it. I finally get it, everybody. And my brain is exploding having to ask these questions because this guy is just so out of it. Like, there's no real logical answers. And this is the problem, right? When we were, trying to predict the NDP strategy in the fall, we were using the premise that the NDP had some sort of logical approach to this.
Well, and we were using the premise that as a politician, your goal is to win. You want to win as many seats as possible in the next election because that's how you stay in power and that's how you get more votes for your party, etc., etc. It seems like Jagmeet is doing everything he can to drive this party into the ground while bankrupting Canadians in the process.
Yeah, so let's just use the premise. His goal is his pension. So, rest of NDP caucus, are you just along for the ride and you're the casualty of his pension? You better make a decision and you better make it quick.
I mean, I think that's not the fair way to look at this. The scenario is we're forcing them to do things they wouldn't otherwise do. Their decisions are their decisions. Their failures are their failures. We're using our power to force them to do things they wouldn't otherwise do. The fact that the Liberals are failing people, that's for the Liberals to answer.
Wow.
You're the one failing people. You're failing every single citizen of this country right now.
This is just something else. So, okay, everybody, and we've kind of alluded to this before. So he's basically saying, whenever anything good happens, we're there. We're responsible. But for the failures, that's them.
This is what happens when you have man-children, like, playing politician.
If I was Prime Minister, I would take responsibility. I would own that. I'm not Prime Minister. Right now, Justin Trudeau is. And if he fails to bring in the sufficient amount for disability benefits for those people, he is failing those people. I'm saying that it should be much higher, and I would make it higher if I was in power.
And look, I understand that those questions on their policies should be directed at them. And believe me, they get those questions for sure.
Of course.
But in the case, for example, of the disability benefit, you had 2 weeks. What does it say that you weren't able to force any of those changes? And ultimately, if you don't, what is the effectiveness of the agreement that you have in place? He's a failed leader, according to you. He's not doing the things that you wanted for the most vulnerable Canadians. Like, what's the point?
She is so good at cornering people. So good. And I can't say any better than what she just said. She circled him with all of his points and used his words. Okay, so you've been talking to him with 2 weeks. You haven't got anything done. So what does it say that you got nothing done? You said so he won't give you what you want. You said he's a failed leader. You said he's failing Canadians. You say he's bad for Canada. Why go on? What's the point?
It shows that he's out of touch. It's evidence that the
Liberals...
Liberals...
Doesn't it show that you are too?
No, it shows the Liberals are out of...
Yes! Oh, man, I hope I can meet her so I can shake her hand. That was fire.
Wow.
Amazing.
Oh, my God. Shots fired by Vasi, man. Holy.
It is the Liberals that are in power. The Liberals are the ones that are calling the shots. We're using our 25 MPs. The Liberals have far more MPs. They're in power. They won the election. We are forcing them to do things they wouldn't otherwise do. We brought in dental care. We brought in pharmacare. We're making people's lives better with the power that we have. The Liberals don't believe that they can actually make people's lives better. They continue to act as if they don't have the power to change things. They want to just cruise by. They have no urgency. We're forcing them to do things. There'll come a time when there's an election. And I'll put to Canadians, look at how out of touch Justin Trudeau was as Prime Minister, how disconnected he was from the struggles you're going through. We fought and forced them to do things that made your life better, but give us the opportunity to be in power and imagine what we could do together.
I have to ask you the blunt political question. I just have time for one more,
Sure.
which is that people will say, you're not willing to take the step of voting against them or forcing an election because you'd lose. And you'd lose big in the next election. I looked at 3 separate polls. Angus Reid had you at 19%, Abacus at 17, Nanos at 16. Your fundraising is $6.8 million compared to $35 million for the Conservatives, 15.6 to the Liberals. Are you just not forcing an election because you don't think you can win?
Wow.
Jeez.
She doesn't mince words.
But you know what? This is why I think so many people are starting to really, I think, turn on to Vashi, because she is now asking the questions that Canadians have been shouting and screaming at their screens for the last 2 years. So to actually have these blunt questions asked to these idiots, no matter how they respond, it's almost cathartic for people.
Yeah, it feels good. It's like she's asking the questions that I think all of us want to ask him.
We're going to have an election, and I'm ready to run as Prime Minister for this country. Until then, I'm going to squeeze as much as I can from this government to make sure people get relief.
But then could be
I want to see the job. I want to see the job done for the dental care. I want to see it rolled out. I want to see seniors to get it. I want to see them start accessing the program, and then people can make a choice. Do they want to keep the dental care program or not? Once they see the benefits of it, I want people to make an informed choice. Then Pierre Poilievre will take it away from you. I want to keep it and expand it. People can make a choice on it. I want to see people get diabetes, medication and devices, and free birth control. And then Canadians can choose. Do you want that to continue, or do you want Pierre Poilievre to take it away? Because we know Pierre Poilievre, what he wants to do. He wants to cut pensions. He wants to cut EI. He wants to cut dental care, pharmacare. He wants to cut all those things. I want people to have an informed decision when they make their choice.
But they could make that decision now. You could force that
decision now. It's not an informed decision.
You don't think any
of
that's informed? You don't think after 9 years the Canadians don't know what they're in for with this government?
People don't know the benefit of something that's not in there. Their diabetes medication is not covered right now.
But don't you think they have a perception of the government right now?
No, I want people to make an informed decision around the benefit of these programs before Pierre Poilievre proposes to cut them. I want people to see, how does this improve your life? And then you can choose. If you want Pierre Poilievre to take that away, you want him to cut pensions, cut EI, and to cut these programs we fought for, people can make that choice once they see the benefit. I want to see people to actually benefit from these things and see how it changes their lives and reduces their costs, improves their health. And then people can choose what they want. They want to keep it or not.
So I read there is no chance of you being responsible for an election happening before the date that's set out.
Ultimately, we see that the Prime Minister and the Liberal government will call the election when they want. We're going to fight as hard as we can to get people as much help as possible.
And there you have it. He just admitted it. The Liberals will be the ones to call the election.
Well, he better hope that they don't, because they're going to pull the rug right out from under him.
He is screwed, man.
He has no idea. Does he think that, some seniors are going to get dental care and then everybody's going to be like, oh, yay, NDP, let's vote NDP? No, because you know what's going to happen? Our taxes are going to go through the roof, as they are planned to do.
The NDP is screwed. So screwed.
This guy has no idea how to be a politician. Like none. Like I would make a better politician, and that's saying something.
Our cats would make better politicians.
Yeah, they would.
Like seriously, folks, the NDP's dead. And I'm not exaggerating. The NDP is dead.
They've really screwed the pooch this time.
I don't see how they win any seats. Like at all.
Yeah, I think after this, their numbers are just going to plummet. And if Jagmeet thinks that a few people getting dental care or a few people getting birth control is going to save their party, he's so mistaken.
Well, and what he's done is basically he's written Trudeau a blank check until October of 2025. That's what he's done. Holy crap.
I cannot believe he is just destroying the NDP party like this.
It's unreal.
And okay, I don't want any of you to feel bad that you spent time or spent effort writing to the NDP, because it is absolutely important that they hear your thoughts, that they hear your feelings, that they understand how things are for you in your life. Because even if Jagmeet doesn't call an election, they still know that we are watching and that we do not approve of their frivolous spending, and that we do not approve of their tax hike, and that we do not approve of the fact that they are supporting this corrupt Liberal government.
Oh, and there's still lots of hope here, folks. Lots of hope. You keep writing your letters. We're going to keep writing our letters, because here's the thing, right? Jagmeet may be angling for his pension, but again, the rest of these NDP MPs, they're going to want their pension at some point, and most of them are not qualified for it. What do they need to get qualified for it? They need another term. And they are in serious danger of not getting another term if they keep going with this stupid strategy. Like their leader right now has completely sold them all out. And he did it on national television right there, and Vasi exposed him for all to see. So you keep writing those letters, because if they see that enough Canadians are angry enough, I think they will call a leadership review and yank Jagmeet out as leader of the NDP, because otherwise they will literally be wiped off the face of the political landscape.